Hi guys, so today on my channel, I am doing a different style of video. I am following along the tutorial of Dominique Sanches and seeing if her hooded eye tips and tricks work for me as well. My channel, welcome. And what I do here is I love to find tips, tricks, and try out different things that people are loving to see if they can work for me in my 40s. I love to help people find their own style and confidence in themselves and what works for them. So if you are new, I'd love if you click that little red subscribe button right down below, and let's jump right into this. I will be putting links to everything I'm using down below because not a lot of these items are actual items that she is using in her video. The first one I'm starting with is the one she used, and it is an eyeshadow primer. And she mentioned that a key thing when you have that more hooded eye, and as our eyes get a little bit older, is to use an eyelid primer because our lids get more oily, and because of the creasing in our eyelids with the hooded eye, it actually causes the shadow to go more south and kind of move around a little bit more. So I am going to use a brush to blend this in as she did, and this is a colorless primer. So it doesn't have color to it. I tend to use the Bobbi Brown Longwear Cream Shadow Stick as my shadow primer, but I am following along as closely as I can in this video, and this is a colorless one that she used. So I am going to start with that, brush it in, make sure it's nice and even, there's no clumps, there's no spots, and just make sure it's even on your eyelid. So the first thing she starts with, and she used a powder for her brows. Her brows are tattooed, the same as mine are. However, she actually causes her brow to actually lift at the end to give your eye more of a uplifted look versus a downturned look, which is something I actually learned recently when I got my brows filled in, because I went for a touch-up and she was like, the original person that did them brought them down much further, which causes your eye to look more closed in. And she actually said, I'm not going to touch that up. We're just going to let that fade out, and I'm going to lift yours up. I had no idea. So doing the same type of thing, but using a brow pencil, I am more of a pencil kind of girl, is she started at the bottom, kind of drew an outline, and then brought it down, and when it gets to the end, just kind of lightly flicking up versus going down, and then going back in, filling in that front part, very light strokes, and just following the line of my brows that were actually tattooed on, same as hers. And then you just kind of keep that outer corner lifting up a little bit more. Make sure everything is symmetrical as you can, and just go back and forth between the two brows. Now you can see the difference between this one to this one. Now I'm going to do this one, doing the same thing, starting down at the bottom. My brows are still healing a little bit from the last set, and then just take that last little bit and flick it up, and then go back into the beginning, the center, and lightly fill them in and color in along there, keeping this so it is going up and out at the bottom versus going down, as I've mentioned. So just kind of go back and forth until you feel like they look fairly even, sometimes touching up as you go. The first thing she does is she takes a palette that she is using. Today I'm using the Tarte Man-Eater, and she says to take a medium toned color. Medium tone color, any color you want. She does a kind of warm mauvey color. These two right in this middle row right here are the two medium toned colors. She suggests, and this is something totally different than you typically hear in order to bring your lid out and to make your eyes look bigger, is instead of putting light on your lid, you're actually going to start with a medium tone color and put that medium tone color on your lid, because this top portion in your crease right here, when you get older and as your eyes are more hooded, when you open your eyes, recedes back in, and you do not see the lid space. The only time you see the lid space is if you close your eyes. So by putting a darker color there and taking it up into the crease and over the crease, almost to the brow bone, it actually makes your lid space look bigger. So let's go in and get this started. I am going to start with the middle color right here and just a flat brush, because a flat brush, you are going to tap it in and then tap it off, and you are going to start on the lid and go back and forth. So the first thing I realized is this medium tone is not dark enough. So I am actually going to go in with this color over here because I want this to look as similar to hers as possible. And that first color, when I put it on, does not have as much pigmentation as the one that she used in the video. So I'm tapping down and then tapping that off, and I am gonna start in just tapping on the lid. She mentioned you do not go in all the way to the inner corner and you do not go all the way out to the outer corner. That is part of what you want to make sure you're doing. So you're just gonna tap, tap, tap. And as you notice, I am starting to go into the crease, and then I will continue almost up to the brow bone. As you see this color going up, again, I am not going all the way into that inner corner. I'm keeping it in the crease and on the lid. Again, on this end, you are not going all the way over to the end of your lash line. You are keeping it shorter. And then you're gonna take this same brush, create a little bit of a flick in this outer area, almost towards that end corner of the eyebrow where we were doing the lift in that area as well. So you'll see this going across. I am working on my brow bone. I'm continuing to go back and forth and making sure this is slightly blended. We're going to get a more lifted look by this, she says. So I'm all for that. Let's go in and do the other eye. The next thing she does is she takes a darker color in that same family of tones, and you're actually going to take this on that same brush and you're going to go above where your natural crease is. So you're actually going to cause it to look as if you have a higher crease than you do. And you're going to take it into that same outer flick that you had, but you are actually lifting this up, okay? So we're going to do the same thing on the other side. You do not need much product for this. You can simply just tap the brush down very lightly and bring that in, causing that crease to look as if it is much higher where it is naturally down a little bit lower. Then we are going to take a black shadow and I'm using an eyeliner brush. She used kind of a smaller eyeshadow brush. She mentioned that you don't actually want to have black down at the base of your lids as a thick eyeliner because it's actually going to cause that space to look smaller. But if you take that brush and a shadow and you're just gonna work it into that lash line to give yourself a little bit of dimension in that lash line without it causing it to look like a thick, dark liner. So you're actually just working that in. Again, not going all the way to the outer corner, but just giving yourself a little bit of dimension there to add that into the eyes. The next thing she did, I am using a Marc Jacobs liner, but she actually went in and did her waterline. Again, though, not taking this all the way to the inner corner or all the way to the outer corner. You want to use this to kind of fill in your lash line a little bit. It makes your lashes appear a little bit thicker and a little bit fuller. You can see the difference between these two eyes here. Again, just... So now I'm going back to that same brush, and you're actually going to go in at the lash line and kind of create a little bit of a lifted cat eye. You do not do this all the way down at the corner of your eye. You do it about 2 or 3 lashes in, and you just do a little bit of a flick, which is going to give you a little bit of that lifted cat eye look. Same thing on the other side. And then just touch in any of the spots that might not have been touched when you were filling in the lash line with both the shadow and the waterline. Now using a blending brush, you're going to go back into that initial color there, and you're going to actually use this now to blend all of this out. So that's blending out both the black shadow, the darker shadow, and then also the original color you started with, so it's not quite as harsh. If you want more of a black defined line, you can simply keep that there and not blend out as much so. But this helps to kind of blend them all together, so we're working with one space that is all together versus seeing those very defined lines of the different colors. blending them together also helps to soften the look. So the next thing she does is she takes almost a skin toned color of a shadow and then a blending brush, and you're going to go into that color, and we're actually now going to blend all of this out, and you are going to take this so that the white space is not as much as it was. You want to make it so that you have less white space, and you're going to blend that up and out. Again, do not go past where that line is out there. You want to keep this blended and moving. And you want to reduce that amount of space that is between those two. And I actually think that that color is a little bit too light. So I'm going to go in with that initial color that I started with that I thought was going to work well, but then ended up being too light. So now we're going to use that, which looks like a way better choice for blending this. And blending is key, she says, on this, as it, I feel, is on most eye looks. And you're going to use this to blend up and out, keeping those looks, those shadows, so they look like they are mixed together and not quite so stark of a darkness. Causes that lid space to look like the lid space is much, much larger. You're blending, you want to make sure you are keeping with that line of your brow bone, or your brow, outer brow, so that you are keeping that looking lifted and out to that corner. You don't want to go lower or down, because that's going to pull your eye down this way. The next part she's doing is a highlight, and I'm going to go in with this color all the way over here and just a very, very, very small brush, and you're going to go 2/3 of the way in. So right about here, and you're just going to keep it as close to that brow bone as you possibly can. You don't want this bringing it too far down, because if you bring it too far down, it's reducing that color that we just did and blended. So you're going to keep that so it's just causing lift just right under that eyebrow. Then doing that same thing, you're going to use that same color on the inner corner of your eye, just to give you a little bit of lightness and brightness in there, since we have such darkness on the lid. So the next thing she starts talking about is you can stop here at this point and your look can be done once you've added mascara, or the next step we're going to do is the under eye, and I'm going to continue on. But she does at this point, she has lash extensions. She does go on to just comb out her lashes. So at this point, I'm going to use this opportunity to add a little bit of mascara to my lashes. I had already curled them and had them pretty much ready to go. So I just figured I could add a little coat of mascara to have them ready. Now she goes on to actually do the bottom eye. You can leave it as it is and you're good to go. I have the mascara on now. Or she's going to talk about how you could make this into a smoky eye, which even with hooded eyes, you can still get away with. Now, as we get older, we do learn that it is better to have less darkness under the eyes, because we are bringing the light down so that it causes your eye to go up towards the eye a little bit more. But we're going to keep going with this and work on the bottom lashes just as she does. Now, she did go through with a brown liner on the waterline versus a black, so that way you're getting the smoky eye without being quite as dark. Then she took the same color that you started with on the same brush she had used. That does not necessarily work for me. For me, that puts too much shadow under my eye area. So I'm using a much smaller, finer brush and using that same color to smudge this out. Then after you're done this part, because this is still adding dimension under your eyes without drawing them down, and then just take a concealer brush that might have a little bit of product left on it and kind of clean up that under eye area. You don't want any shadow that has fallen to settle under the eyes. Now that you have completed this, you can set with powder, whatever your favorite powder is. As you could have seen through the video, I am very shiny because I had not yet set my face. I had put on my foundation and my other things, but I had not yet set my face. So just going through, making sure everything is clean and set and good to go. So overall with this look, I feel like it does give me a very lifted outside look. I do feel as if it works well with the colors on the lid, the darker color on the lid, lifting up and out with the brows going slightly up. I'm going like this, but it's not pointed up, just a millimeter up, with the fact that the liner and everything stop at about the last 2 lashes, and they stop before the last 2 lashes on the intersection. The under eyes, I can give or take. It depends on the day and how much of a look of makeup I want. I do think for me personally with this look, I would probably, with that crease, use a little bit less crease and do a little bit more blending. Hers is definitely much more noticeable. I like a little bit more of a seamless transition of color where it is not as noticeable that there are multiple colors through here. I wanted to almost look like a shadow of my eye. I could have possibly done that with the lighter colors in this if I had possibly started with this one and led to this, but I wanted a very medium tone color, very similar to her tutorial. Overall, I think I got some great tips and tricks from this and learned different ways to apply makeup as we get older, when we're in our 40s, 50s, so on and so forth. And this area of our crease starts to fall down more and more. This does give you a more lifted look. I think this will be a perfect look for a date night or for going out. This isn't something that I would wear every day on a daily basis, but I really do think that those tips and tricks she gave in this video were amazing and really gave you that great lifted eye look. Hope you guys enjoyed this style of video and kind of following along with someone else's tips and tricks and seeing how they work on myself as well. If you have anyone specific that you would like to see me follow a tutorial on, maybe someone who's way younger and they're giving different ideas, is it something that works when you hit over 40? Please let me know down in the description box. Everything else I'm wearing on my face will be listed in the description box as well. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching and sticking with me, and have a great day. Bye.